everyone, it's Jack and Sam from Cultaholic.com, and just before we settle down to watch AEW Full Gear, we do have a few bits of news for you regarding some WWE stuff, some AEW stuff as well, and I should point out that our reactions won't be a live stream, but we will upload our reactions in the near future. It shouldn't be too long a wait, I don't think.
Nah, it should be alright.
Okay, well, let's take a look at the headlines. First of all, an upcoming Raw taping has been cancelled. Next, a Raw superstar is making their way back to NXT. And finally, AEW have released their rankings for each division in the lead up to Full Gear. So yes, first of all, WWE have had one of their Raw tapings cancelled. Initially, the plan was to tape a Raw. I know Raw is usually live.
Yeah.
But initially, the plan was to tape a Raw on Tuesday, December 17th in Sioux City, Iowa, but it's been cancelled due to a scheduling conflict. The original reason to have that show as a taped one would be to go out over the Christmas period, because this year they're giving the roster a bit of time off over Christmas.
That's nice. Yeah.
But because this has been cancelled, they've had to do a bit of a reshuffle. The superstars are still getting some time off, but instead the day before, which is a Monday the 16th of December, they're doing some kind of like double taping. I assume one of them is going to go out either live or on that night very shortly afterwards, and then the next taping is going to be the one that goes out over the Christmas period, but it's going to be like a mega taping. So these fans are they're going to have two Raws for the price of one. Apparently it is for no extra charge. The full announcement from WWE is WWE fans, Wells Fargo Arena will now host 2 episodes of WWE Monday Night Raw on Monday, December 16th, moving the event start time up to 5:45 p.m. local time with doors at 4:15. That's 2 shows for the price of 1. Follow the ticket link below to purchase your tickets today. Actually, I'm not sure if that announcement was from WWE or the Wells Fargo Arena, but either way.
It's cool, but Jesus Christ, they need some Red Bull.
Yes, they are. And one thing that I'm thinking quite weirdly as well is that the second one that goes out over the Christmas period, that crowd, presuming that's the second show they watch, if it's in chronological order, they're going to already be a bit burnt out because they've just watched a full episode of Raw, effectively.
Yeah, and they'll have to come down and put their Christmas trees out.
Yes, they will.
Standard Raw behaviour.
I wonder how they're going to keep everyone hyped up for that, because, I mean, the only thing I can compare it to is WrestleMania, which goes on for sometimes upwards of 6 hours these days, and the crowd definitely did burn out this year at WrestleMania in that women's match towards the end. There was a lot of tiredness in the crowd, and I just don't know how they're going to be able to handle this, really. Get
them out at half-time just doing some flexing.
Yeah, everyone loves that.
That's what you need.
Get Gary Stridham in. Oh, the WBF, was it? Yes.
Yeah.
It's a mega one. It's a mega double taping of Raw. But we don't have any information on what's going to take part on either of the shows. I guess we'll just find out in the near future, because it's already nearly December.
Well, Mick Foley will show up dressed as Santa Claus, surely.
He loves a bit of that. Bret Hart might come out to meet Santa Claus again. To be honest, I think this is probably the best thing they could do, just because it's nice to give the superstars time off.
Yeah.
I think it's probably good for morale backstage. I imagine last year was very difficult for them.
Yeah.
And I think it's the best of a bad situation. It's just going to be very interesting to see what that second show is like crowd-wise. I don't know. Next up, WWE, NXT superstar, but recently Raw superstar, Catalina Garcia, who they were a bit confused. They didn't know whether to call her Catalina or Katarina on commentary.
Yeah.
She's moving back down to NXT, according to Dave Meltzer. So it seems like
it's not down, it's across.
Across to NXT, I'm sorry.
Third brand.
But she's moving back to NXT, I should say. I don't know whether they've kind of scrapped the idea or whether it's just this was the length of time they were always going to bring her in for, but either way, her little storyline with Sin Cara seems to be over. And I didn't know what to make of it, because she was brought in to act as his kind of equalizer for Zelina Vega in his little mini feud with Andrade, and has been totally ineffective. Andrade's just won all the time, or Zelina's won, and it's just, what do you make of it?
It's just odd, isn't it? I think whenever you try to introduce a new character, specifically a new character under a mask, it's very hard. Do you remember how hard they had to try and get Sin Cara over with the lights in?
Oh, yes.
I think when you bring in a luchador who carries their own name over, like if you had like Mystico or Rey Mysterio carried his name over, like there's a bit of aura around them already, there's a bit of buzz, but when it's somebody who isn't wrestling under a mask, I don't think, on NXT, and you bring him in and put him under a mask, the crowd are just sort of like,
And I don't know, you might know more about this than me, but I don't know if we saw her very much on NXT.
I wasn't very familiar with her at all.
No,
so I think she might be one of the talents that was working the house show. This might be her call up to NXT TV.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It might have worked. This might have been the plan, to just give her a bit of experience on a bigger stage. And now that she's got that under her belt, she can use that in NXT going forwards. I hope so. I hope she gets more of a chance, because it would be a shame if she just did a couple of weeks and then we don't really see it for
and
ages.
that women's division could really use some like
New
innovative
blood.
new style. So like lucha style in the women's division would be great.
Yeah, I agree. So commiserations or not, if we're moving across
She
to
might
NXT.
still be turning up on Raw.
She might be.
They've got these weird rules, don't they?
The wild card rule, I thank God that's over, I'm so pleased. But yeah, so Catalina Garcia moving back to NXT, and we'll see what the future has for her in store. Next up, AEW have released their rankings for each division, the men's, women's and tag divisions, ahead of Full Gear. And it's very interesting, I've got them here.
Okay.
I'll read them to you, and then we can have a bit of a discussion.
So they were wanting to sort of do the ranking stuff to make it feel more like a sport. Right?
Yes.
So this is sort of like a league table for each division.
Kind of. It's like boxing rankings where the champion's always at the top and then they've got 5 contenders below.
Like seeds.
But they've, I think in a wise move, although people might disagree and say that it dilutes their own system, but they've said that it's not just based on the total win-loss record, it's also about the quality of the win and the quality of the opponent as well. So
they're going to base it off the Observer report?
No, just I think like their kayfabe sense of the quality of the opponent and quality of the win, which I think is just to give them a bit more leeway. It's not as rigid as the numbers.
If something goes wrong and somebody's in a place where they shouldn't be, they can sort of talk their way around
fudge it a bit, yeah. So we'll start with the men's division. Obviously, the champion at the time of recording is Chris Jericho, and could well be after tonight. We'll see what happens.
Youngest ever.
At 48, he's the youngest ever AEW World Champion. Then from first down to fifth, we've got Cody Rhodes, of course, he's the number 1 contender. Yeah. Then Pac, then Hangman Page, then Kenny Omega, and then Jon Moxley, because he's obviously been the victim of these unsanctioned matches that don't count towards his record. So I think obviously it makes sense that Cody's at the top right now. And then Pac as the next one is quite interesting. I don't know if they'll just give him a title shot if Jericho were to retain, because that's heel versus heel. Yeah. But the crowd would get behind Pac, I assume.
I think so, yeah. I think Pac's just waiting to flourish into like an anti-hero character.
Then Adam Page is next. I don't think he'll be getting another title shot for a while, unless it's just on a TV episode. But he's already.
What about this whole show's named after his little bit gimmick joke?
It is actually, to be fair. Then Kenny Omega, and then Jon Moxley. That's not going to change because this match is unsanctioned. But I reckon if Moxley wins, he'll like fight his case. He'll be like, no, I've beaten him. Like
the thing with Moxley as well is I think that he will just try and book this as much as possible because, you know, he's not an authoritarian character. He's sort of very much anti that. So if they're going to tell him he's at the bottom, he knows he's not the worst. So he's just going to, I reckon, turn up and cause a scene until they give him what he wants.
Yeah, I should point out actually that there's no more names below fifth. I just assume that every other person in the men's division sucks. No, just absolutely sucks on an equal level. They'll like creep in and out of the top 5 as they kind of like wrestlers of the week. Like wrestlers of the week league table.
Are you suggesting they've stolen your concept, Jack?
No, not in the slightest. I think that I've stolen their history of sports analysis. So it's interesting. We'll move on to the women's division now. The champion's obviously Riho. Number 1 contender is Emi Sakura, who is wrestling her tonight. Then Britt Baker. Then Hikaru Shida, then Ali, who we've not really seen too much of actually, given how she's one of the bigger names, I guess, in the women's division with her whole history at Impact. And then fifth is Nyla Rose, who of course lost the inaugural match for the women's championship. So I think this one's a bit, I don't want to say less important right now, but I can see Riho having a really long reign just to establish her as a really strong champion. I could be wrong.
Well, the thing that was with Riho as well, I think I mentioned it on another news video, there was polls came out about her testing very, very well with like adolescent female audiences.
Right, okay.
And I think that's a very valuable audience to get a hold of, and so it makes sense to sort of establish her as this dominant champion.
Yeah,
even though she's sort of very unassuming.
Yes, but she does she pulls out wins with like determination or like skill and stuff. So it's quite interesting. I don't really buy the whole argument that she's an unbelievable champion because she's like 90 pounds or whatever. Because it's wrestling.
Yeah, it's wrestling. The Marco stunt thing's a bit like of a weird argument as well. It's all it's all predetermined.
It is. Sorry if we've spoiled that for anybody. God. And then the tag division as well, of course. So the champions are SCU. They're taking on the Lucha Brothers and the Private Party tonight. The Lucha Brothers are number 1. Could be a very good match.
It's going to be great.
The Lucha Brothers are number 1 contenders. Private Party are second. Then it's the Young Bucks. Then it's everyone's favourite, the Dark Order, who I feel bad for because people just don't like them. And they're good. They're a good tag team.
Those topless lads that turn into chairs.
They like them. They're their fans. And then fifth, the Best Friends. A friend of mine actually asked me a very interesting question. They said, who do you think is going to be the first tag team to turn on each other, and it might be like ages down the line.
Oh, it's going to be best friends.
That's what they said as well. Yeah, I think that's a good shout as well because they're the best friends.
It's a ready-made fall apart gimmick, isn't it? Because they're supposed to be the best friends.
And also, if you remember, I think in New Japan, before they left, they were kind of teasing Chuck Taylor going a bit crazy and getting himself DQ'd in matches, and Trent was like, what's going on? And it seemed like they were going to tease a breakup then. So but at the minute it looks as though those rankings could change instantly tonight based upon what happens in that triple threat match, which you're very much looking forward to. I think it could be one of the stronger matches on the show, but I think the best match, I can't look past Omega and Moxley.
I think that's going to be great.
Omega and Moxley.
That's probably going to be a match of the night.
I think you were right, by the way. I think Meltzer reported that is going on, or should be going on last, because it's unsanctioned, after the title match. But we will see. And guess what? I've got a little bonus news story for everyone. This comes from a recent Dolph Ziggler interview, I believe with TalkSport, where he was talking about Goldberg and the match with Goldberg at SummerSlam. In case you missed it, obviously, Goldberg was immediately super kicked by Ziggler and then kicked out straight away and then hit him with a spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3. And then as he was leaving, Ziggler called him out again, and he came back and speared him again, and then Ziggler called him out again, and he came back and speared him again. Apparently that wasn't the original plan, and Ziggler claims that he really fought for it to the point where he actually threatened to walk out of the company. Ooh. Apparently the original plan, was just bell, spear, 1, 2, 3, and that would have been it.
The thing is, I suppose it makes sense because it's sort of like he's already seen Goldberg do that to somebody, so he should be anticipating the spear as soon as the bell goes. So he should know because he exists within that bubble. He's seen it happen to somebody else. And it's sort of that was Goldberg's whole thing for the longest time. So it makes sense that he'd immediately try and go over his finish as well, only for Goldberg to be like, what are you doing, mate?
It also makes sense that what he said in the interview a little bit, which is that he's not just approaching this as a fan who wants to see Goldberg run through people. He's trying to take, I think he was basically saying that he's trying to take a more creative angle with it and give us something that we haven't really seen before. I don't know if the whole getting like triple squashed afterwards was like part of the plan, or maybe something he had to concede.
All right, you can do your kick, but he's going to come back and spear you twice more.
But I thought, I mean, it is a bit of a ruthless way to go about it, threatening to walk out and everything. But then again, Ziggler's been up and down the card and has had a very long and storied career, and could be a case of wasted potential in a way.
Yeah, he's somebody that I think, as much as people moan about, Dolph Ziggler, bloody hell, blah blah blah. Like, I don't think the company could afford to lose him.
There's been times in his career when he's been red hot, like when he cashed in the briefcase to win the World Heavyweight Championship, and of course he's an excellent in-ring wrestler as well. I think, regardless of what you think about the way he went about it, I think that this plan that was the one he fought for, which ended up happening, was actually the more entertaining one. I enjoyed it a lot more. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments below, and look out for our AEW Full Gear reactions, which shall be up on the channel in the very near future.
Vroom, vroom.
Yes, vroom indeed. Thanks very much for watching, and let us know what you think in the comments section down below. You can follow Cultaholic on Twitter at Cultaholic and on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do, then please do check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Cultaholic, where you can pledge. And don't forget, of course, most importantly of all, to hit subscribe and to join us.